Welcome, fellow humans, and welcome to another Tea with JD. And today, we're actually going to be talking about writing and not just reading in books. Um, let's call it dissecting the dialogue. Although it's not going to, it's a few techniques that you can use because I love writing dialogue, and some people have asked me for some tips, so here goes. Okay. When you write dialogue, I think the most important thing that you have to get straight is that it has to sound real. If it sounds forced, or if, like, oh, and that's not the effect that you want, you gotta tweak it. So always make it sound real. It sounds really easy, but it's not. Some people have a hard time with this. They've told me, oh, I just can't get from one person to the other, or kind of stuck on this. And I think there's a couple of things that you can do. So let's see what things. First off, interview your characters. If you really want to get to the meat of the matter, interviewing characters allows you to get to the point where you know that how a character feels, reacts, smells, tastes, and experiences life. The more you write them, the better. Some people were really impressed with Heath Ledger when he did the Joker, and he actually, I'm pretty sure that he kept a journal for 1 month writing as the Joker, as as part of his method acting. Well, you can do the same with writing. Interviewing your characters, putting yourself in their shoes about how to answer trivial things like how do they take their coffee. That could actually help a lot. But that's actually something you've probably heard somewhere else. So let's do something different. There's two things that I'll recommend that I think that can really help with dialogue. First off, go to your mall of preference, go to a food court, buy a milkshake, buy tea, buy coffee, buy something that you can drink, but not a meal that you have to put so much attention to. Maybe a snack. Then people watch. Here's the thing, when you people watch, it's rude to hear other people's conversations, but it's fair game. It's not saying that I'm a full-on voyeur, but it's something that I've caught myself doing, and it does help because you see the dynamic of conversation. There's a lot of people that have issues with dialogue because they're introverted, they don't go out much, and by putting yourself, even if you're introverted, man, just people watch. Just walk around and see how people interact with one another, see how, the feelings and reactions and the tones and how they vary the cadence of what they say. Go to different places because some places you see a certain type of people, and other places you see other types of people. Sometimes you see an older crowd, sometimes you see a younger crowd. If you want to understand how millennials are, go to a mall. If you want to understand how a slightly older crowd or a more introverted crowd is, go to a bookstore or a library. But look at people, experience life and people. I always say that life is the best inspiration because it is. All the ideas that we get come from something that we experience, read, listen, or see, or even smell. But yeah, and pay attention to how people structure, even if it's grammatically incorrect. I hate how it sounds when someone says, let me ask you something. I hate it, but people do talk that way. And in dialogue, that's always key, to really write how a person would write. Another thing you can do, actually I have another one, I have two more. Another thing you can do, watch TV in mute and start saying the dialogue of one person and the other. You can make it funny, you can make it silly, you can make it dramatic, whatever you want, but do it. It's just a mental exercise of forgetting what is being said in the movie and just reacting on how the people are, and you creating memorable dialogues, and try to see a scene in mute and then see it again and then do the dialogue, because you know what the reactions are going to be. So what can you write to get that reaction? And another thing, and it's actually one that probably is what helps me the most with dialogue, is talk to everyone. Say good morning, engage in small talk, banter, whatever. I say good morning, good afternoon, please, thank you, excuse me. I try to have chit chat with pretty much any and everyone I come in contact with, and I'm always welcome to it. I've had some interesting experiences, and I've had some weird ones as well. A couple of examples. One of the things that I'm really thankful about Harry Potter is that I had so many random conversations on the subway, and people would just want to talk shop and talk Potter and talk wizardry. That was awesome. But public transportation also allowed me some really weird activities. I spoke with a drunken Mexican man. In the cart, it was all white people, or mostly white people, and then there was the Mexican man and me. And I said something in Spanish, and he was like, "Ah, yes, hermano," and he started talking to me, like crazy drunk talk. Just memorable stuff. On another occasion on public transportation, I was in an internship program in 2004, and I was like one of 9 guys in a huge group. And some of the gals wanted to go out, and they were like, "Oh, can you chaperone?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I look so intimidating if anyone wants to, but okay." Maybe they'll see that they'll feel sorry for me and not do anything. Who knows? We had a great time anyways. But in part of the trip on a subway, this guy says, "Damn, son," and he did not have a tooth. "You're doing all right for yourself. You got a lot of ladies. You got a lot of, this is good. You know where you gotta go, bro?" And he offered me a recommendation that I don't remember at all, because it was interesting that a man sans one tooth thought that I had to take these Bettys to a place, but I have that in reference. In bank lines and wherever, I do walk a lot with headphones because I do like to disconnect, but connecting with the world and having small conversations is so rewarding that I'll keep doing it for as long as I live. And it does help with dialogue because you're not gonna respond. I've been asked. I say that I'm a writer, and you don't expand on that answer the same way with a kid, with a teen, with a college student, with someone who also wants to be a writer, with a full adult, and with an old person. I had this sweet grandma once asked me what I was writing. I didn't go in depth about Only Human, but I did mention a lot about the poetry, and she was really, really happy that I was writing poetry because she says it's been lost. So I had a really nice conversation with this sweet old lady. And obviously, I was monitoring my language, and the way that I phrased things was different than I would phrase with anyone else. And the more conversations you have, the more dialogue you have readily available, because your mind is processing thoughts and messages and things that you want to communicate to different people. And it comes from life. It's nice to, I have several connections with wonderful people. But I do wish that I could meet all of them so that we could have a real conversation, in the sense to hear their voice, see their body language, see how they respond to some random thing that I say. And the more conversations that I have, the more I can feed on that. Because it's not, don't say the same thing. You want to make conversation interesting, then make it interesting. So, people watch, put movies in mute, and put movies in mute and write the dialogue, and talk to people. Seriously. make it sound real. That's also another thing. Sometimes people focus on that grandiose line. Oh my God, what a good line! Yeah, but does it go in line with the character? Talk to your characters. On occasions, I've been a bit lost to where to go, and it doesn't last long because I honestly, it's kind of like a Ouija board. It's creepy. I've taken my pen. I normally write by longhand, and I go, okay, okay, Daniel. You know you don't say things this way, so what would you say in this situation? And 10 seconds don't pass, and I start writing. It's a bit creepy, but it's cool to have all that crazy stuff inside. And I think and it's crazy stuff, but you gotta let it go. And I think that's another thing in dialogue. People focus focus on writing the dialogue rather than experiencing the dialogue. You know, you should have a conversation between two characters. You're not supposed to, okay, this character's going to say this and this character's going to say that. Man, let it go, flow. A final tip for that? Two final tips on things that you can watch or listen. You should definitely watch dialogue heavy movies that you like. If you like Tarantino, he has these long one shot scenes with tons of dialogue. Kevin Smith also does a lot of dialogue in his better movies. Clerks is a movie driven by dialogue, and brilliant dialogue, and random dialogue at that, but you know, it's driven by dialogue. So watching movies that way can also help you feed the dialogue within. And in addition to that, watch stand-up comedians. Watch one of the biggest influences in my writing and a lot of my approach in many things is Bill Hicks. He's the influence, he's the inspiration for Bill from The Human Cycle. Just brilliant stuff, brilliant mind. It's a shame that he died so young. Basically, I already outlived Bill Hicks by a couple of years, and that's crazy to me because he had such an impact, and he will always have an impact on me. But, you know, look at all that stuff. Experience life, and don't be afraid to say what the character wants to say. Sometimes we hold ourselves back, and that's silly. Don't. No one wants to see you hold back. Let go. And good things will happen. So, if you like this writing tip, by all means, leave a comment. If you have any additional questions or stuff that you would like me to reply about writing, by all means, ask. If you like the video, obviously click the like, click subscribe, tell people that a crazy Puerto Rican living in Georgia is doing videos, and help her write her out. And engage in dialogue with me. I am always happy to answer anything that I can and to help any way I can. Time is a bit of a challenge, but it's time well invested. So by all means, let me know if you have any comments, questions, or banter that you want to share. But for now, peace, love, and maki rolls.